this, you could probably find some posts on social media where you'll get some individuals that are pretty upset with the name. And sometimes too, when I read it, I don't think they understand that I also was in the Coast Guard and grew up in the Coast Guard family.
All right, shipmates, welcome back for another round of Sea Stories. I am so excited here to turn the tables for this Small Business Saturday and interview our captain of the brand, Don Foligno. Don, we're overdue to do this. When I met you and started dating a couple years ago, you were just getting new into this brand, and it's been really rewarding to see you put energy into this community and get some stuff back. So we're overdue to have this conversation, to share a little bit more about your perspective on being a small business owner, a veteran business owner, and what Puddle Pirate means to you. So thanks for being here today.
Yeah, I'm excited to kind of tell the story a little bit more and just, a little bit beyond just being maybe a t-shirt company and such, and kind of share with our community a little bit about what we've been trying to do over the last couple of years and kind of go from there.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. So, of course, I've prepared a list of questions for you and thought we should start with you. I think a lot of folks don't realize that you're also a Coastie veteran, at least when it comes to some of the feedback that you get on the name Puddle Pirate. So we'll touch on that in just a moment. But to lay the foundation, can you share a bit about your own military background and how your service still influences your life today?
Yeah, so I'll kind of start first and how I ended up in the Coast Guard. For me, my uncle was a 30-year career officer, retired from the Coast Guard. My father was in the reserves for about 6 years in the late 80s, early 90s. And me growing up, I always said I would never join the military. I guess I didn't really have the desire. But interesting enough, prior to my senior year in high school, I asked my father to go spend time with my aunt and uncle down in Florida and just spend a week down there. So sure enough, my uncle pretty much coordinated the entire week for me to visit Air Station Clearwater. Got to go through a walkthrough on the cutter Joshua Appleby, got to see the Coast Guard cutter Eagle come in. And sure enough, I called my father while in Florida. I said, hey, I think I want to join the Coast Guard. And my dad scheduled time with the recruiter and showed up at the recruiting office. I knew a lot about the Coast Guard, or I thought, but the individual, my recruiter, was wearing the green fatigues, camouflage uniform. And I was like, tell me more about that. And so he was with Port Security Unit 309 out of Port Clinton, Ohio, and ended up watched the video, thought it was pretty interesting and got pretty excited. And that's where I wanted to go. So I did the reserve while I was in college. So, deployed in 2005 for Hurricane Katrina. And in 2008, we were in Kuwait with our unit kind of spread across the region there. But was a boatswain mate, really enjoyed driving boats, helping other crew members kind of with that experience. And 309 was just a great community, a lot of great shipmates I still talk to today. But spent about 7 years in the active reserves and decided, just based on, where I was at, that I would kind of transition, spend more time with my civilian career, and got out of the reserves at that time.
If I had to have your dad and your uncle on this interview, I'd ask them about the cahoots that they had, right, to get you on a base and to get you ingrained into the Coast Guard community, with your dad being a Coastie veteran too. So I have to think that while it was a harmless little visit, that there probably was an ulterior motive to get you to join the Coast Guard, right?
Probably something to it. I think they both knew me well enough and probably saw I'd probably be really interested in the mission and just that, lifestyle for a while, and to be able to kind of give back in a different way. So they probably had some communication back and forth on that.
Well, as you chose to get out of active duty, you still choose to remain involved in the Coastie community and lifestyle. In fact, you purchased Puddle Pirate from another veteran business owner. So help me understand what drew you to this business and what it's like taking over another veteran-owned business.
Yeah, so this probably starts before I approached the previous owner and possibly acquiring the company. For me, in 2016, I realized a couple things going on that I wanted to stay more actively involved in the veteran community and close to some of my shipmates. So unfortunately, I had a crew member, one of my good friends, who committed suicide in 2016, that that shifted a gear. And from there, I got involved with the Mission Continues organization. So I was a platoon leader for Cleveland for 2 years. And that was a great way to interact with other veterans, whether they're Mission Continues, Team Rubicon, Team Red, White, and Blue. And we did a lot of community events where we essentially taken our skills as military veterans and being able to give back to unfortunate or underserved communities within the Cleveland area. So that was really exciting for me. But it was time to kind of, you don't want to be a platoon leader forever, right? Kind of hand it off to the next generation to take over and do something with it. And interesting enough, Puddle Pirate, the brand, was kind of big. The infamous, famous patch hat I had owned. I think 1 or 2 other T-shirts, the Bosun Mate design, or Rate design, and a lot of my shipmates in 309 still wore some of that gear. And Chris, the previous owner, had posted something on Instagram that he had run the brand for about 10 years, did a lot of great things, but he was kind of ready to move on and do something else as well. And so I just kind of reached out and started the discussion, and he was working with others too, possibly, transitioning the brand to new ownership. And for me, I was like, I really, really wanted to stay involved in the Coast Guard community. And this was a great way to, really kind of take a brand and a lot of great things he's done to it and maybe, enhance it a little bit more and spend a little bit more time with it. So it's been a lot of fun over the last 2 years just to see the community involved and, interactions online and some of the events we've been to where, others have really embraced this brand as more than, again, just a T-shirt company, but, cool designs, cool stories that go along with it. So it's been pretty fun to watch it evolve.
Shout out to Chris for laying such a good foundation for this brand. I know that folks forget that you actually have a real job in the civilian world. So this is great to scratch your entrepreneurial itch, but what aspects of your military experience do you think have been the most helpful for you managing Puddle Pirate, or again, any other jobs you're having in the civilian world?
Yeah, I think on the civilian side, there's a lot, when I was younger, driving boats overseas, you always think, well, I'm in business, right? I'm in sales and, marketing degree. And, how can I take what I learned there driving boats and apply it to the business world? And I think the longer I'm out, the more I realize everything I've learned from, working with others and building strategy and, really laying out a plan and understanding that training is kind of the backbone to success. And, all those components mixed together has definitely helped me in the business career. And for me too, with Puddle Pirate, Chris is a phenomenal designer, has that creativity, and did a lot of great things with this brand. And still, he's doing a lot of great things if you follow him on social media with some other things that he's got in the works now. But I try to apply some of the more business traditional frameworks to Puddle Pirate and just the way we market, engage the audience. And again, trying to make sure that we're not just seen as a T-shirt company, but the stories we can tell and the history of the Coast Guard. And I think for me, just obviously, being in the Coast Guard and still, involved with others and watching them, that there's that common ground that we all have. And for me, it's trying to take that common ground story and making something of it. So the Cape May Crud Survivor design that we have, it's not necessarily the design that has made that shirt and hoodies so popular. It's the story that came with it. For anyone that went to boot camp at Cape May, we all had the crud, and we can commiserate, I guess, with what that actually means. And so those are the most engaged posts on social media that I just love interacting with other followers to hear their story, their version of it, how some still claim they have the crud today, even years later. So for me, it's, again, just trying to apply the business, make something of it, because the more Puddle Pirate grows, the more we're able to give back to Coast Guard organizations or go to events that mean a lot to the Coast Guard community and donate to causes to help raise money. So that's, again, trying to be more than just, slinging shirts, I guess you could say, but how do we actually stay involved in the community one way or another? So it's been fun.
It's been nice to see you make a concerted effort to be more than an apparel brand, right? Starting the podcast, being able to be more present on social media. In fact, as we, in the evening, sit on the couch and you're checking on your engagement with the brand, I am shocked with the reactions that people get to the Puddle Pirate name. So I'm noticing that it can spark some strong reactions, since I think traditionally Puddle Pirate has been a jab at that Coast Guard community. So how do you personally view the name, and what made you decide to embrace it for this business?
Yeah, so for anyone watching this, you could probably find some posts on social media where you'll get some individuals that are pretty upset with the name, and sometimes too, when I read it, I don't think they understand that I also was in the Coast Guard and grew up in a Coast Guard family. So it's one that I think many of us that have served in the Coast Guard did it for a number of different reasons, but we have a lot of pride in the service, and we are very unique when you look at the other military branches and how we operate. And we essentially work every single day versus just training for maybe a military operation. It's from the search and rescue operations, law enforcement, drug interdiction, environmental protection, port security overseas, you name it. We have individuals that are out there serving a mission every single day. And I think for us, it's just a pride in that and a sense of purpose that we're doing it to help others, keep our country safe. And again, everyone's got their story, but you got to have fun with it too. We are the smallest service. It's a running joke. If a Coast Guard cutter sinks, we just stand up and walk the shore, right? And I think for us that really enjoy the brand and laugh with it and wear it with pride, it's we have pride in it, but we don't have anything to prove. We know what our mission is. We know most of the country doesn't truly understand what the Coast Guard does. When I landed in Kuwait, even other service branches are like, what are you guys doing here? Like, I don't know. We thought we got on a plane to Hawaii, but here we are. Right. So, it's fun. I have a lot of great buddies that are Marines, Army, Navy. It's just, we give each other a lot of hard time, but at the end of the day, for us that embrace the Puddle Pirate name, we have fun with it. We got to laugh. I think we are so unique. There's nothing to prove. And, and when civilians see the Puddle Pirate name, when I travel in the airports, people always ask me, because I'm typically wearing Puddle Pirate gear, it's that chance to tell a story. Everyone's like, what's Puddle Pirate? And so you can tell this story. And I think that the brand and the designs and creating that curiosity for us to be able to tell stories is ultimately what it's all about.
Embracing the brand with humor, I think clearly is working for you. In fact, in 2025, you're having the strongest growth year ever for Puddle Pirate. So can you tell me if there's been any major learning curves that you've had since stepping into this brand?
Yeah, I think definitely. Social media is its own animal out there, but social media, it took me a bit to realize that is a way to engage with our followers and my fellow coasties and veterans and to interact and learn. And, you can't just post a picture of something and think people are going to be engaged. But, really over the past year of, one, I want to show a lot of history and remind a lot of individuals some of the cool, fun facts of the Coast Guard over time. So, leading up to the Coast Guard's, birthday this year on August 4th, I took that as an opportunity to days leading into it to tell a different story, a different history that maybe some of us forget about, the evolution of our service and how it's evolved. And so I think I've just really learned this year that I need to engage all of you and followers. But man, I'm having so much fun doing it because I learned so much. I only have my own experience in the service and in somebody else's perception and stories. It's pretty exciting to watch. And, I posted a kind of a funny reel the other day about docking a boat and, that sense of accomplishment when all the civilians watch you masterly park. But there's a lot of that go into that too, right? Some of the auto pilots that are on some of the newer small boats and comfort creatures that, not all of us had in our service days. But again, just hearing everyone's story, that's what I have fun, doing. So I think the learning was putting a little bit of effort into it. But from there, I get such reward just hearing the interaction and, direct messages and, experience. And then people wanting designs that here's an idea, this is something I experienced. So it's been more fun than I think I thought it would have been in social media, just because that's not my natural habitat, if you will.
It's true, folks. All of you guys are inspiration for some of the future designs. We debate on what you should prioritize and what we think is going to resonate well with the community. So keep that engagement coming. We like it on our end.
Definitely.
Speaking of favorite customer stories, is there something that you've experienced maybe in the last year that really captures what this business is all about?
Yeah, I think one of the cool things, so I went to boot camp in 2003. And so I had an opportunity to go back to Trace and Cape May this year for the Coast Guard Community Festival, 1-day event on base. Other vendors are there, food, local community. businesses and such. So I definitely wanted to take an opportunity to go. And in fact, when I registered, they were a little confused because they don't have anyone typically come from outside of New Jersey, and we're based in Ohio. But again, it was a great opportunity to go back to Trace and Cape May and spend time and show you around a little bit of that region. But I was kind of blown away with the response. There's a couple of people that walk by and again look at the Puddle Pirate name and get a little confused, but there are other people that follow Puddle Pirate, own t-shirts. So watching a couple of individuals walk around with our t-shirts in the wild was amazing because they didn't even know we were going to be there, but that was just how they show pride for the Coast Guard is just through some Puddle Pirate design. So getting to interact with people throughout that day, it was so much fun. And there was a lot of recent graduates that were stationed there on some of the cutters at Cape May or the small boat station, or there was a cutter that was just there for a couple of days doing a little bit of R&R. So hearing their stories, interacting, they follow us or hadn't heard of us, and then now they're following us and interacting with all our posts. So it was so much fun that day, just one, be on base and watch some of the recruits march around and remember what it was like 20 plus years ago for me. But just really an opportunity to shake hands, hear stories live and in person. It was fun and sell some swag along the way. And it was great.
As your partner, I have never been so proud just to see how many people knew about your brand. And I laugh because we had no idea what we were doing, right? We're not used to doing trade shows or being in person. Normally, everything we're doing is online. And so silly things I think about, like, do we buy a tent to put over the display? And like, how do we keep this tent down? And like, it rained. So thank God we did go to the Walmart in Cape May to be able to get that ahead of time. So we're all just trying to figure it out along the way, right?
Definitely. So, and that tent's been useful for daughter softball tournaments ever since. But yeah, it was an interesting learning curve for sure.
You all heard it. He said it was a good investment. So let's keep that on the record. All right, so it's Small Business Saturday, which is huge for us in Puddle Pirate. So what does Small Business Saturday mean for you now that you're a part of that community rather than just being a supporter of it?
Yeah, I think it's, there's a lot of small business owners out there that, are carving out their way of life, just with their business or a unique story they're trying to tell. And obviously being a small business owner, passionate for that as well. And I think, Small Business Saturday is an opportunity to, one, hopefully support Puddle Pirate, buy some gear for the holidays or gifts. But even, if you don't have an opportunity to buy anything, it's just, sharing who we are and commenting on our post and telling your story and your involvement within the Coast Guard, I think is great because, again, while we're trying to grow the brand and have more and more Coasties understand who we are, it's an opportunity for us to be able to give back in different areas. So that I think also has been something that we've done a little bit different. So in addition to going to Cape May, we had an opportunity to go down to New Orleans earlier in the year to help raise, funds for the Coast Guard Tactical Law Enforcement Association's New Orleans chapter. So Sean has done a great job really growing that chapter down there, but that's an organization that gave money to the family of my buddy who had passed away and is one that I still donate to today. And to be able to go to a golf outing and have a custom New Orleans style Puddle Pirate shirt to sell where all, portion of the sales throughout the golf outing went back to that organization. That was just a way that Puddle Pirate can give back. And there's been others throughout the year that we do donations for the Coast Guard Mutual Assistance golf outing that's taking place here in November to be able to give back to them as well, or donate some shirts so they can sell or raffle them off for, raising money on their end. And so the more that we, again, focus on or individuals on Small Business Saturday can turn towards Puddle Pirate, it gives us more opportunities for us to stay deeper involved in the Coast Guard community and give back to other organizations that really need it as well.
Obviously, the one that's most personal to me is your Hope Floats t-shirt that came out for Breast Cancer Awareness Month this year. Being a breast cancer survivor, it was so cool that you're using your personal brand to be able to give back to even things that are important to you in addition to the Coast Guard community. So I really appreciate that. And I think it's a really friendly reminder that not only having Puddle Pirate on your Christmas list can be helpful for our brand, but engaging, sharing, liking, giving us your ideas, posting on your posts. These are all things that really help these small businesses get some visibility and engagement moving forward.
Exactly. So there's a lot of us out there. There's other Coast Guard owned businesses. We've done a couple of podcasts with them this year, and hopefully we'll be continuing to do that in the future. So Small Business Saturday is not just a Puddle Pirate thing, but there are many other Coast Guard owned businesses that would love your support and engage on social media, spread their word. Puddle Pirate, we try to interact with them too, and to help to spread as much as we can to help them out too.
So that's probably a good place for us to wrap. A lot of folks don't realize that you're actually a management consultant on your daily job. So you work with business owners, founder-based businesses to grow faster, be more profitable, build a strong culture. So what advice would you give to other veterans who might be interested in entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I could probably spend about 8 hours kind of talking through that. And that also is what's been rewarding with Puddle Pirate, because we do have some interaction with individuals that reach out and they're trying to start their own company, either selling coffee or you name it. I think there's a window washing company that reached out that has a very similar name as us. And, I think, there's so much skills that we learn in the military that transpire to how we operate in the business world. So anyone that is looking to start a business, I always encourage, think about your experience in the military. Like, you can't just go out there and wing it. And even if you are out there winging it and driving a small boat in a unique operation, you're not really winging it. There's been a lot of strategy and training that you've infused in yourself to be successful in that mission. And so sitting down and really mapping out what is going to be your strategy, your go-to-market, engaging customers and getting capital or financing and build it out, but then reach out to others and learn and train. And there's a lot of free resources online that can help educate you on how to run a business effectively. And so I think, for all of us that joined the military, we went to boot camp and got the training and fundamentals there. We went to our A schools to get, our rate and train there. Then we went to C schools to get further training and development. So taking that mindset and just applying it the same way, it's not easy. We face a lot of storms out there, but I think we can all look back at our military career and say, hey, we came out, we're on the better in most cases, or successful. This business is no different there. But, to summarize that, I would say, use your military experience, how you learned and develop and continue to grow, and reach out to others and lean on others and seek guidance and advice. No one has to go it alone to be successful. We all want to help each other out.
Well, Don, thank you so much for your service. Thank you for your commitment to the Puddle Pirate brand, and happy Small Business Saturday. Thanks for sharing a little bit more about your life and your experiences.
I appreciate it, Brooke. And hopefully this is helpful to, have our audience hear a little bit more of the story behind the brand. And I'm excited to kind of see what comes through the next 12 to 18 months. We have a couple of events that we already have in our travel plans to, again, go out there, interact with fellow coasties and shipmates and, tell the story a little bit more. So more designs to come as well.
See you guys there.
All right. Thank you.